All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and today it's all about Real Madrid, especially with the transfer window in full swing. You know, kind of like how Jean Futol does those breakdowns on his YouTube channel. We're going to try to do the same here, but, we'll look at match analyses, expert opinions, and even some of those crazy transfer rumors flying around.
Yeah, it's wild how these rumors can really get people talking. Makes you think about strategy, player dynamics, the whole 9 yards.
That's like a domino effect. So let's dive into this whole midfield situation at Real Madrid. The big question, do they actually need a creative midfielder? Or are they good with what they got?
Well, you've got some big names weighing in on this. Lopez Ufarte, the legend from Real Sociedad, thinks Zubimendi would be a perfect fit.
Zubimendi?
Yeah, exactly. And Marcus Lopez, who, follows Real Madrid pretty closely, he seems to agree. He thinks Zubimendi could be a real difference maker.
Interesting. So Zubimendi is the name on everyone's lips, huh? Linked to Real Madrid and Arsenal. But would his style actually work with their current midfielders?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Chouameni, Camavinga, Valverde, all super talented.
Right, but some say they lack that creative spark that, Modrić and Kroos have, but those guys are getting up there in age.
Yeah, Father Time is undefeated. So is Zubimendi the answer, or would he kind of step on some toes? And is he worth that, what is it, like 60 million euro price tag they're talking about? And there are other midfielders out there, right? Like Voni Jr., Nicolo Egolo.
Tons of options. Real Madrid's got some serious decisions to make. Young talent versus sticking with the current lineup.
And speaking of tough calls, how about Carlo Ancelotti? His job security seems to be a hot topic lately, especially after that Barcelona loss.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic. I mean, you have to wonder if his tactics are playing a part in their struggles. Some critics say he relies too much on individual brilliance and not enough on, possession, a strong attacking strategy.
They want him to be a tactical wizard, huh? But I mean, some fans are quick to defend him, praising his ability to handle those big egos, those superstars. Managing that locker room's got to be like herding cats.
Ha! Exactly. World-class cats with massive salaries and even bigger egos. But there are those who say he doesn't give the younger guys, like Asensio, enough playing time. Seems like he favors the veterans, even when they're not at their best.
Right. Asensio, Rudiger, Hazard, they've all got so much potential.
Yeah.
And then you have Alaba. He's been out with an injury, but it seems like Ancelotti's ready to throw him right back into the starting 11.
It's a tough balancing act, isn't it? He needs results now, but he also needs to think about the future of the squad. Makes you wonder if he's the right guy for the job or if Real Madrid needs a fresh start, like with Xabi Alonso.
Xabi Alonso, the name everyone keeps bringing up. He's doing great things over at Bayer Leverkusen, all about positional play, patient buildup, using those wing backs effectively.
It's a very different style from Ancelotti's, much more hands-on, strategic. But could he replicate that success with a team like Real Madrid? That's the million-dollar question.
Could he handle all that attacking talent? Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, Rodrigo, all in the same lineup. That's a tactical headache just waiting to happen.
Oh, for sure. It would be any manager's dream, but also a nightmare. Would Xabi Alonso be the right fit? And could he really revitalize their style of play? Lots to think about there.
Absolutely. And while we're thinking, let's talk about that controversy with Inigo Martinez and Fermin after those gestures they made toward Real Madrid fans during the Supercopa celebrations.
Yeah, that sparked a lot of debate, especially when you compare it to the scrutiny Vinicius Jr. gets for his on-field behavior. It makes you wonder if there's a double standard at play here, Spanish players versus foreign players.
It's an interesting point. Does the media judge players differently based on their nationality? Or is it more about personality, playing style, something else entirely? It definitely raises questions about how the media can shape our perceptions.
And we can't forget that Vinicius Jr. has been subjected to some pretty horrible abuse, even racist taunts. So his reactions might be coming from a place of pain and frustration,
Exactly. Every story has multiple sides. We need to try and see the bigger picture. Speaking of different perspectives, how about we lighten things up a bit and take a trip down memory lane? Like that Paolo Maldini video series where he tried to guess those World Cup matches from just photos?
Oh, yeah, I loved that series.
Well, we thought we'd share some of our own fascinating little anecdotes about past World Cups, focusing on some of the lesser-known matches and stories. Did you know that in the 1930 World Cup final, Uruguay and Argentina actually used different balls in each half?
Wait, what? Different balls?
Yeah. Apparently, both teams insisted on playing with their own ball, so they just switched at halftime. Can you imagine that happening today?
No way. FIFA would go crazy. It really shows you how much the game has changed over the years, both the rules and the technology.
And then there was that incredible upset The U.S. team beating England in the 1950 World Cup. Nobody saw that coming. One of the biggest upsets in World Cup history.
It just goes to show you, anything is possible in football. Even the underdogs can have their day.
Absolutely. And how about Tunisia's win against Mexico in the 1978 World Cup? That was the first time an African team won a World Cup match.
Such a historic moment, not just for African football, but for the sport globally.
And then you have Trinidad and Tobago, their first ever World Cup appearance. And they draw against Sweden in 2006. Incredible.
It's amazing what a team can achieve with heart and belief. It shows that even newcomers can leave their mark on the world stage.
Just a few little hidden gems from World Cup history.
It reminds us that behind all those iconic moments, those legendary players, there's a whole universe of fascinating stories just waiting to be told.
Stories about passion, drama, heartbreak, pure joy, all the things that make football so captivating. So that wraps up part one of our deep dive into the ever-changing world of football.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore. Join us next time as we continue the conversation.
You know, it's amazing how a single photo can really take you back, to a specific moment in football history.
It's true. Like that shot of Uruguay and Argentina battling it out in that 1930 final. It really makes you appreciate how much the game has changed.
You're telling me two different balls in the same match. It's crazy.
Talk about a home field advantage, right? I guess that was just the way it was back then.
It really shows you how much passion and intensity there was in those early World Cups, And that same passion is still alive today, I think. You see it in the way fans react to everything, the goals, the tackles, every single call. That's what makes football such a global phenomenon.
No doubt. It brings people together from all walks of life. Doesn't matter what language you speak, your culture, it transcends borders.
And it's a sport that's always evolving, right? The tactics, the players, the technology, it never stands still. And speaking of evolving, it makes you think about the future of football. What's next? The future of football, that's a big one. What do you see on the horizon?
Well, it's a question that always sparks debate. Will we see even more technology? Like VAR, for example. Love it or hate it, it's changing the game, how it's played, how it's officiated.
VAR has definitely been a game changer. And what about the players themselves? Will we see a new generation of superstars emerge, ready to challenge the established order?
There's always a new wave coming, always those young talents trying to make their mark. It's what keeps things exciting.
It's true. It's like a constant battle between the veterans and the up-and-comers. And what about the coaches? Do you think we'll see some radical new tactics that change how teams approach the game?
I think tactics are always evolving. Coaches are always looking for that edge, that new way to outsmart their opponents.
So lots of potential, lots of possibilities when it comes to the future of football. It's impossible to predict for sure, but one thing is for certain. This beautiful game is going to keep captivating people for generations to come.
It's a sport that brings us together, challenges us, teaches us about teamwork, perseverance, striving for excellence.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, how about we take a step back and recap some of the key points from today's deep dive? We covered a lot.
We did. We started off talking about that Real Madrid midfield, whether they need that creative spark, if Zubimendi could be the solution. Then we dove into that whole Carlo Ancelotti debate, his coaching style, the good, the bad.
And of course, we couldn't forget about Xabi Alonso, his success at Leverkusen. Could he be the one to lead Real Madrid into a new era?
And then we had that whole controversy with Inigo Martinez and Fermin, those gestures, which led to a bigger conversation about media bias, balanced reporting, all that.
It's always important to remember there's more than one side to every story. And to finish things off, we took that fun little trip down memory lane, remembering some of those crazy moments from past World Cups.
Those are the moments that make football history so rich, so unpredictable.
Couldn't agree more. So now we want to hear from you, our listeners. What stood out to you today? What questions do you still have?
Let's keep this conversation going, Share your thoughts, leave a comment. We love hearing from you.
Football's all about discussion, debate, sharing ideas. We're all united by our love for this game.
And speaking of unity, we want to thank all of you for joining us on this deep dive today. Your passion for football makes these conversations so worthwhile.
We really appreciate your support, and we're always trying to bring you the best, most insightful, most engaging content.
And we're always open to feedback, so don't hesitate to reach out. Tell us what you want to hear more about.
We're excited to keep exploring the world of football with all of you.
Because this beautiful game, it's a never-ending journey, full of surprises.
And we're thrilled to have you all along for the ride. Now, before we sign off completely, let's leave you with one final thought. We've talked a lot about Real Madrid, Zubimendi, Xabi Alonso, all that, but we haven't really talked about the mental side of things.
Hmm.
I mean, how would a guy like Zubimendi handle the pressure of playing for a club like Real Madrid? That's a whole different beast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a huge step up from Real Sociedad to a giant like Real Madrid. The expectations, the media, the fans, it can be a lot to handle.
I mean, think about it. He'd be playing with some of the biggest names in the world, competing for every trophy. Could he handle that pressure, or would he crumble?
And then there's the whole team dynamic thing. How would his arrival affect the relationships within the squad? Would it breed competition or tension? Would he even fit in?
It's like a big social experiment, right? You're
Yeah.
throwing this new element into the mix, and you just don't know how it's going to react. Football is so much more than just physical skill and tactics. It's mental toughness, it's emotional intelligence, it's performing under pressure.
That's what separates the good from the great. And it's one of the things that makes this sport so fascinating to me. It always pushes you to think beyond the surface, to look at the nuances, to appreciate the balance between individual talent and the team as a whole.
So well said. And with that, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the world of football. Hope you all enjoyed exploring these different aspects of the game with us.
And remember, the learning never stops. There's always a new angle to consider, a new insight to uncover. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep loving this beautiful game.
Hola, si estás escuchando esto, posiblemente no estés suscrito al canal, activar la campanita para que os avisen cuando haya un nuevo relato y compartir con la gente que queréis. Os lo agradezco de corazón.